Good evening, everyone. Love and light. Hope all is well. Guys, I have a story for you tonight. The name of the story is Fatal Love in Dominican Republic, and this story is based on a true story. Let me tell you about a guy named Mark. Mark was 65 years old at the time. Mark was a great guy, lovable, outgoing. He worked for FDNY for well over 30 years. He was loved by so many at his job. Just the type of guy that everybody wanted to be around. Social, just a good, cheery type of a guy. And after being married for over 25 years, Mark and his wife divorced, unfortunately. He had no children with his wife, but he really loved his wife, and divorce pretty much took a toll on him. He wasn't the cheery Mark that everybody knew after his divorce. He became depressed. He became withdrawn. One of his close buddies that he worked with just seen the change in him. And he said to Mark, "Hey, Mark, what's going on with you, man? You gotta do something. You gotta cheer up. I understand you and your wife got a divorce, but this is not good for your health. Everybody's seeing it. They could see it on you. Why don't you take some time off? Listen, my buddy and I, we just came back from Dominican Republic for the first time. Bro, the trip was epic. I mean, beautiful women, the sun, the food. I know you like Spanish food. Your ex-wife is Latin. Why don't you try and go out there and see something different? I think this would be good for you, man." Mark says, "Nah, bro. I just right now it's just not a good time for me, man. I'm almost near retirement. I'll think about enjoying myself once I retire. Right now I'm just so focused. Financially I gotta save up some money, and I just got a lot going on financially, bro. But it sounds good, but I'm glad you had a good time. But right now for me it's just not a good time." So Joe says, Mark, listen, bro. I understand all of that. But life is too short. We could be here today, going tomorrow. I'm gonna send you some stuff on YouTube. I'm gonna send you some videos that my buddy and I took out in DR, and just take a look at them. I'm not telling you to go now, but just think about it. I promise you, bro. I think this would be good for you. I really do. All right, I'll think about it. Yeah, just send me those videos, man. I'll check them out, and I'll let you know what I think. So Mark, he's so focused on work. He really just put that whole DR thing in the back of his head. Even though Joe sent him some videos, he was intrigued by what he saw, but he was just focused on working and getting this whole divorce thing settled so that he can just move on with his life. So in the process of that, Mark's mother dies. So now he's divorced with a dead mom. That hits him, heavy. So it's just like two steps back from him, and he becomes more withdrawn. Joseph suggested that, "Hey, Mark, you might need to go and see a psychiatrist, man. You got to do something. You got to do something, bro. The new year's coming in. I told you about DR before. I think now might be the time for you to really take some time off before they end up telling you got to take some time off, because you're just not there, bro. You're just not there." So Mark says, "All right, man, I'm going to think about it." So he goes home. He starts going on YouTube, looking at videos in DR, and, he decides to book a trip. He decides to go down to Punta Cana for 3 weeks. And, he gets there. He ends up enjoying himself. He meets one of the workers at the resort, and they become friends, and he suggests, "Hey, let me take you outside the resort. You're gonna be here for a while. After a while, you're gonna get bored being in this resort. Let me take you on the outside, show you what the outside life is about." So he takes him out. Mark is a little reluctant, so he takes him out. Mark ends up, being comfortable with the guy. The guy takes him to a few restaurants and a few shopping centers. And he buys some souvenirs and stuff for his family. So he enjoyed himself. And then he takes him back to the resort. So now he's there at the resort. It's night. He's bored again. So the next day he sees the worker at the resort, and he's like, "Yo, I want to know what the knife life is like out in Punta Cana. Tell me, could you take me out to like a club or some kind of social gathering?" And he says, yeah, yeah, we have parties all the time. So the worker takes him out to a local spot. They're playing salsa, they're playing merengue, they got beers, food. Mark is really enjoying himself. You know, this is like this is exactly what he needs. So he happens to lock eye with this beautiful, beautiful morenita. She happens to be about maybe in her 40s or so. Morenita, for those of you guys who know what that is, a Afro Latina. So he happens to catch eyes on her, and they ended up exchanging numbers. They're dancing, and I mean, he called her the next day. They ended up going out. They ended up having a good time. She took him to a few other places in Punta Cana, and they were just inseparable. I mean, he had this girl on his mind the whole time. When he got back to home, he started telling all his coworkers about how much of a good time he had. He thanked Joseph. He says, "Joseph, thanks, bro. This is all of what I needed and more, man. You have no idea. I feel like a new kid, you know." So he's conversing with this Morenita every day. He finds himself back there 3 weeks later. And after that, he's traveling there every month, every weekend, every other weekend out of the month. He's traveling down there to spend time with the Morenita. He did that for 6 months to the point where she ends up pregnant. After 6 months of him traveling and seeing her and traveling and seeing her, so now she's pregnant. She ends up having a baby 9 months later. He's excited. He's near retirement. You know, he's at work just telling everybody about, you know, his new family. He's looking forward to retiring and getting down to DR and starting a new life with his family. Morenita ends up pregnant again. She ends up having two children by Mark. So he's just super excited about being down there. He's got a year to go for retirement, and he ends up, you know, retiring. Everybody at his job throws a big retirement party for him, wishing him well, and you know, his family was happy for him. So he ends up moving down to Punta Cana with his family and starting his life in Dominican Republic. Everything is going well. He's from what everybody sees, he's posting pictures on his WhatsApp and his Instagram. You know, photos. He's keeping in contact with Joseph, telling Joseph just how much he's just so happy, and he's glad that he made that decision to go to Dominican Republic, and he thanking him for giving him that idea, you know, to get down there. So now that he's down there, you know, he set up his family. He's got a house. You know, he's living his best life, man. He's living his best life. And 3 years after him being down there, everything's going well until his job gets a call that Mark unfortunately passed away. So everybody's in shock. They can't believe that Mark died, and the alleged reason is that he committed suicide. So now everybody's starting to speculate something different. They're like, not the cheery Mark that we know, not the outgoing Mark, the Mark that was full of life, the Mark that loved this woman so much, the Mark that couldn't wait to get down to the Dominican Republic to be with his family. Not that Mark. It just couldn't be. It just couldn't be. So, you know, his coworkers started digging. They started going on his Instagram and going on social media to find out what really was going on. And when they started digging, they came across his wife's page, and she apparently was doing voodoo. She was into voodoo, and Mark started engaging in the voodoo. And when Mark passed away, his family was trying to get down there to view the body, and unfortunately, his wife had him buried before they could get down there to view his body. So it's just a sad situation. Mark was a good guy, lovable, full of life, as I said, and it just couldn't be. It just couldn't be. They just couldn't understand that. Why would he want to do something like that? Why would Mark want to commit suicide? But everybody else is speculating something different. You see, they believe that the wife had something to do with it. So yeah, guys, that's the story of Mark. And if you like this story, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe. It's your guy, J-Day. I'm checking out. And y'all have a wonderful evening. Until next time, peace and love.